Chibi-Robo is a game like no other. On the cover it looks like a fun little 3D platformer where you play as a tiny robot who goes on adventures around the house, but the overall story is that you are trying to mend a marriage and save the family of a little girl. And what better way to show off that story than by speedrunning it? The game Chibi-Robo is set in the house of the Sandersons and starts off on Jenny Sanderson's 8th birthday party. Jenny is quite the strange little girl and likes to pretend she is a frog and does nothing but ribbit. Her father, George Sanderson, gives her a Chibi-Robo toy whose ultimate goal is to bring happiness to everyone, as well as his assistant Television, who is a small floating television that helps Chibi with anything he encounters. Tensions already appear to be high because Mrs. Sanderson is already upset with George for spending too much on the robot, so Chibi already has his work cut out for him. For the speedrun, our goal is to bring happiness back to the entire family and to fix Jenny's parents' marriage. What makes Chibi-Robo unique is that there are two major resources that we must track throughout this game. The first is Chibi's battery life. This can be treated just like health, as we will lose battery from fall damage or being hit, but we also lose battery just by walking around and performing tasks. If we run out of battery, we die and have to respawn at our Chibi house. The next resource is the day and night timer. At the end of each day and night, we must go back to our house to rest, so if we are far away from the house when the day ends, we'll have to backtrack all the way the following day. Our first goal, since this is my first time attempting the speedrun and I am not confident with just a 5-minute timer, is to collect some money and upgrade to the 10-minute timer. So on the first night we make a beeline for the toothbrush on the floor, and in this game Chibi runs faster while holding his plug, so we're going to have to try and do that for the most part of this entire run. Once collecting the toothbrush, we want to clean up some money spots on the floor to gain some happiness points. Also, there's a pretty distinct route in this game for collecting moolah. Whenever it can be integrated into our path, we want to go to these Chibi doors to collect the moolah. After collecting some moolah from the first Chibi door, we make our way behind the fridge to recharge. After recharging, we make our way back to the television to meet Drake Redcrest. At this point in the game, we find out that the toys in this game are able to move and talk, and we can start helping them out with their troubles to bring them happiness. Drake Redcrest gives us a shiny spacesuit similar to his, and in order to keep the suit, we must prove to him that we are worthy by posing at the same time he does. This, as well as many other parts in the speedrun, can be pretty frustrating. You either have to guess and get lucky when he's going to pose, or have very quick reflexes to pose immediately after he does. Once proving ourselves worthy, we head to the Chibi house to pick up the 10-minute timer to help with the rest of our run. There is a 15-minute timer, but the issue with too long of a timer is that for the majority of the game, you can't speed up the day and the night cycles, so whichever one you have to wait for it to finish in order to go to the next day. After leaving the Chibi house, we head to the entrance of the kitchen to find Sophie, who is blocking the doorway and is writing in her diary. We notice that Sophie is quite fond of Drake Redcrest, and we use our new suit of justice to pose to make Sophie all hot and bothered and retreat into the kitchen out of embarrassment, allowing us to go into the kitchen. Once in the kitchen, we go to the first outlet we see to recharge, and at this point in the run I made a huge mistake. If you're a beginner like me, then the best thing to do at this outlet is to save, and the reason for that is because the next trick can take a newbie a bit to perfect. If it takes you too long, the night will end before you can finish off the rest of your tasks, and without going into the detail, I failed on my first attempt, and since I didn't have the save point to work off of, the night ended before I could do what I wanted to do, and I had to try again the next night. Assuming it didn't take me about an extra hour to do this step, after saving at this outlet, all we have to do is head towards the foyer and into the basement. In order to get to the foyer, we have to successfully clip through this door. To pull off a clip, you have to slide into the door, and as soon as you hit the door, you open up your inventory and immediately close it while also holding forward. After spending way too much time, I finally got it to work and continued into the foyer. Once into the foyer, we head straight into the basement just to find ourselves at yet another wall clip. Only this time it has to be done backwards, which is even harder to do. Luckily, in my failed attempt the day before, I was able to get the birdcage open and drop the rope to the ground, making it easier when I returned the next day. After climbing up the rope, we have to navigate our way to the hanging shelves to get a Giga Charger. After getting the Giga Charger, we drop down to find Giga-Robo and try to give him some charge to wake him up. In our attempt to give him some charge, we nearly kill ourselves, scaring poor Telly to death. During the time we were unconscious, we were able to take a glimpse into Giga-Robo's memories. We find out that Giga-Robo used to play a huge part in the Sanderson family and might be able to make them happy again if we can get him up and running. After coming to, we grab Giga-Robo's battery and are confronted by Captain Plankbeard, who just so happens to be an old friend of his. After he blabbers on for a while, he tells us that we need to charge Giga-Robo's battery with the Giga Charger, which we already have from the shelving. As well, we have to find the missing leg to make him well again. One interesting thing about the speedrun is that since the days are on set timers, sometimes doing something really quick doesn't actually save you any time. At this point, we have done everything we need to do in the basement and simply just have to wait until morning. We can grab some extra moolah, but other than that, we just let the time tick down. Once the next morning arrives, we purchase ourselves a Chibi Blaster with all the moolah that we saved up, and with the Chibi Blaster we can now shoot things with the cost of it wasting some battery. Once heading out for the morning, we go to grab some moolah from the Chibi door next to the fridge. We then climb up the bookshelf to hit another door, and from here it's time to charge up and head outside. With the use of our new Chibi Blaster, we open up the hole in the glass, grab some moolah, and then clear up some grass patches that seem to have some weird markings underneath. From there, we go to the big tree in the backyard to get a Chibi door at the top as well as one at the bottom. From this route, we have very little battery left and are stuck outside without an outlet. Luckily, the sliding trick that we used before can help us. By sliding, we use much less battery than running and can conserve all the juice that we have left and make it to the outlet by the skin of our teeth. After narrowly avoiding death, we make our way to the couch and grab some extra moolah before calling it a day. Now that it's nighttime, we head back into the kitchen, climb some shelving, and hit up a few more Chibi doors. From there, we go to the foyer to recharge, and we go right back down to the basement. After entering the basement, we see our friend the pirate getting into an argument with this beautiful young lady. We learn that she will allow you to bet moolah on whether or not her eye will open, and if correct, you will double your money, but if you lose, you'll lose all of your moolah. For now though, we are only in the basement to hit up a couple more Chibi doors to continue building up our moolah. After getting all the doors, I found myself in quite a concerning situation. At the top of the basement, I only had about 25 battery left and had to make it to an outlet at the bottom without dying. Luckily, by dropping right in front of these hanging shelves, instead of taking damage by hitting the ground, I went into a cutscene mid-fall and once leaving the cutscene did not lose any battery. From here, I just had to walk slowly on over to the outlet to recharge at about 8 battery. One of the drawbacks of choosing the 10-minute timer is at this point, there's nothing left to do until the next day. So all I can do is wait it out, but for some of the days, the 5-minute timer would be way too short with my lack of experience. After spending some time waiting around with our pirate friend, we head on to the next morning. Before leaving our house, we hear some spooky noises going on outside in the living room, and upon going into the living room, we don't find anything too suspicious except for some oil spillage on the ground. After investigating the oil, we encounter some spy doors on the roof that drop down and surround us. Thankfully, we have our Chibi Blaster and take care of them. When killing spy doors, they drop scrap which can be collected and recycled in order to build cool things that can help us reach places we can't normally go to. Now that the spy doors are running rampant throughout the house, our goal is to continue killing them until we have enough scrap to get all that we need for the rest of the run. Whenever you save in this game, the game assumes that you're done playing for a while, so the timer for the spy doors is reset. So in order to farm up scrap metal, all we have to do is kill the spy doors, save the game, and then go back to the same spot where we killed them. After collecting enough scrap, we head back to the Chibi house to recycle it all, and this gives us a ladder in the living room, kitchen, and foyer. Now that we have our new Utilibots, we can raise ladders in all the rooms, allowing us to reach high up places. We don't need the ladder in the living room, however we head to the foyer to raise the first ladder there. Once climbing the ladder in the foyer, we make our way up the staircase and onto the second floor of the house. Once upstairs, we head into the bedroom and open up a peephole so that we can return at night when the door is closed. Since there's little time left in the day, we grab a Chibi door near Jenny's bedroom, as well as some along the paintings, and call it a day. While in the Chibi house, we recycle the last of our scrap and unlock the teleporter in the foyer. The teleporter will take us from the bottom of the stairs to the top, saving us a ton of time from climbing the stairs. Once taking a teleporter, we grab another Chibi door to collect some moolah and then head into the bedroom by climbing up the door and going through the peephole. Once in the bedroom, we see Mrs. Sanderson complaining about how the bills have been piling up. We go talk to her and find out that she's worried that Mr. Sanderson is spending all of their money and hiding the receipts of all the new toys that he is buying and asks us for help. Once in the living room, we make our way to Mr. Sanderson, who's fast asleep on the couch, and we climb behind him and grab the missing toy receipt that Mrs. Sanderson mentioned to us. And once back into the bedroom, we talk to Mrs. Sanderson once again, showing her the receipt that we found on the couch, and she gives us some happiness points. One other way that you can get happiness points is by hitting that subscribe button. It won't help you with the speedrun, but it supports me a lot, and it'll let you know whenever I speedrun some of your favorite Gamecube games. Now the Sandersons are even more unhappy with each other, so Chibi is going to have to do even more mending to fix his quarrel. The next morning, we head to the kitchen, make use of the ladder that we created, and grab a spoon out of the dish rack. After grabbing the spoon, we head back upstairs, only to find that the Sanderson family is still having their issues, and Mr. Sanderson and Jenny ask for us to go check in on Mrs. Sanderson since she won't come out of the bedroom. We head into the bedroom and talk to Mrs. Sanderson, and she gives us a letter to give to her husband. She then helps us back through the peephole on the door, and we hand the letter to Mr. Sanderson. He reads the letter out to the family, only to find out that his wife wants to get a divorce. Once the nighttime comes, we make our way back to the basement and talk to the lovely lady that we can gamble with. The very frustrating part about this speedrun is that in the most competitive times, it can come down to this one moment. Down in the basement, you are to bet all of your moolah so that you can double it and afford everything you need for the rest of the game, and if you're wrong, your run is over, and it's completely random. Luckily for me, I wasn't going for a number 1 spot, so I just saved the game and kept retrying until I got it right, which I got it on the second try. After successfully winning the bet in the basement, we have to short circuit ourselves to teleport back to the Chibi house. From here we buy the Chibi radar, and now that we have that, we can head back out into the backyard and go to the weird etching on the ground that we saw earlier. By using the radar, we come in contact with some aliens that we can't seem to understand, so we head back to the Chibi house and buy a chip that will help us talk to them, as well as fill up the Giga battery. After filling up the battery, we head back out to reconfront the aliens, and we find out that the aliens are old friends of Giga-Robo. We take the aliens down to the basement, only for them to find out that Giga-Robo is decommissioned and is not working anymore. The aliens get extremely sad and head back to their ship. After the aliens leave, we once again get to hang out with our pirate friend until morning. The following morning, we make our way back upstairs and into the bedroom, and once in the bedroom, we talk to Mrs. Sanderson, who gives us our new nightgown. The nightgown now allows us to sleep, and by sleeping, it skips on to the next day, allowing us not to have to wait for the timer anymore. Since it has been an entire day since the aliens have seen their friend Giga-Robo, we can head back to talk to them. On our way to the ship, we use the spoon that we found in the kitchen to dig up the dog bone from the yard. We then stand back on the dirt spot to contact the aliens, and once boarding the ship, we see that the aliens are still very down about their dear friend Giga-Robo, and since they are too depressed to do anything, we take advantage of them and steal their technology by matching up some bright colors on the inside of their spaceship. We step into the warp portal and it takes us up to the bedroom, but it appears that we have jumped into the past. Within the flashback, we see the family happily playing with Giga-Robo. We then find the circuit schematic and then place the dog bone that we found in the yard into the dog's food bowl. With the dog distracted, we take a look at the open briefcase and see that the passcode is 2455. Now that we have the schematics and the passcode, we can leave the past, and the quickest way to do that is to use all of our blaster charge and pass out. Now that we are back in present day, we can head to the bedroom and open up the briefcase to grab Giga-Robo's leg. By opening up the briefcase, we let out a horde of spy doors that are attempting to take over the house. We learn that Mr. Sanderson was the one who designed the spy doors, but they grew to be hostile. The only way for Mr. Sanderson to take these out is to use the schematic that he created years ago. Luckily, we grabbed it in the past and we can give it to him, and then he heads to the foyer to help grab his tools. While Mr. Sanderson is grabbing his tools from upstairs, all we have to do is distract the spy doors. This is pretty easy to do, and instead of fighting, all we have to do is run around and survive. Mr. Sanderson returns with his tools and upgrades our Chibi blaster so that we will be able to defeat the spy doors. With our new upgraded blaster, we are tasked with killing off all the spy doors left in the house, and this part isn't too bad. The only thing we have to do is make sure we keep our battery level high, because shooting the blaster as well as getting attacked can lower the percentage very quickly if we don't monitor it. After killing all the spiders in the foyer, we head to the living room. Once in the living room, we see that the whole family is tied up and dangling from the ceiling. We then see the mother spy door, who has flipped the living room upside down and has essentially every piece of furniture on her back. This fight isn't too hard, and the only thing we need to look out for is being sucked in by her web and to dodge the falling objects from the sky. After getting rid of all of her armor, she starts running away, which we have to chase her down. After defeating her, we free the house of the spy doors and collect Giga-Robo's leg. Now that the family is safe, the parents' marriage is somehow miraculously fixed, and all is good again. Now all that is left for us to do is go back into the basement and give Giga-Robo his battery as well as his leg back. Once we reattach his leg and turn him on, our timer ends. And that's the story of Chibi-Robo. The little robot that was given as a birthday gift turned out to be the one that saved a family and brought back their friend. Given that I wasted nearly an hour when I messed up the initial wall clip, forcing myself to redo the entire first night, my time of about 4 hours and 30 minutes is pretty good by my standards. But let me know what you thought of the story, and let me know what game you want to see next.